The main topic for today is schools. And it's a topic that I know everybody's been waiting to know. What are we going to do about our schools? Not a day goes by that many people, including my two children, don't ask me, what are you going to do about schools, Governor? Are we going to reopen them? You're going to keep them closed? And so today I want to spend the next few minutes telling you the decision that I've made, why I've made it, and what I want to see us do as a state and as a community in order to get through the rest of the school year. So first, let me acknowledge distance learning is not easy. I know that. I know that as a mother. I know that as a governor. I know that as someone with a lot of friends and family and who I listen to. And it's taken a toll on all of us. It's taking a toll on parents, many of whom are trying to adjust to themselves working from home and also helping their kids learn from home. Our kids are having a hard time not seeing their friends, not knowing when they'll see their friends again, struggling in some cases to learn, especially the younger kids, having a bit of a harder time learning in distance learning. I know you guys wish you could be playing sports and dancing and doing your extracurricular activities, and you're not able to do that. Distance learning has been particularly challenging for those with differing abilities. And I hear you, and I know that. You're doing a great job, but it's not perfect. And it's frankly been stressful for teachers. Teachers are working more and harder with distance learning in many cases than traditional classroom learning. Some of it is just because it's different. No one's ever done this before. We're doing things together, we, the people of Rhode Island, that have never been done before. You know, I think sometimes when this gets tough, remind yourself of how unprecedented this is. You know, it's hard. Yes, of course it's hard. That's why it's never been done before, and let's hope never has to be done again. So there's teachers that are balancing a full workload, many of whom have their kids at home doing distance learning. And all the teachers we talk to are working their heart out to try to be creative, to reach their kids and engage the students and make sure every student has some semblance of the one-on-one learning, which is, you know, the magic of teaching. And so it's hard, and I don't deny that, and it is not perfect, and you miss out. But I'll tell you this, turns out you're really good at it. Turns out you're among the best in America at it, because I've looked at all the data. You're doing it, and by every measure, you're doing an amazing job. Every single week, we have improved access to technology and connected more families to the internet. Nearly every district now reports that every single family has the tools and technology they need for distance learning. We have worked so hard as a state to close that gap. I want to thank Kevin Gallagher in my office. I want to thank Cox and Verizon and Sprint and all the public-private partnerships, all the superintendents, Commissioner Infante Green. It's nothing short of miraculous how much you've closed the gap. Now, if you're out there and you're hearing me say this, and you don't have a computer that you need, and you don't have Wi-Fi, you don't have access to the internet, I want you to get in touch with me, because we want you to have what you need to learn. Call the governor's office, email the governor's office, go on Facebook, get to me, and we're going to get you the Wi-Fi you need or internet or tools somehow to make sure that you can do the learning you need to. One of the biggest fears that, myself included, that many of us had going into this was that students weren't going to engage. Students would just lock themselves in their room and disengage. That is not what's happening at all. By every measure, engagement is very high. Participation rates in distance learning have been truly remarkable. And again, that is not true in every state. If you look at other states, we are at the top of engagement. Statewide, we've seen over 90% participation almost every single day of distance learning. And I've been looking at these numbers. Often it's 95, 96, 97+% on a daily basis of engagement with distance learning. That's incredible. It's really extraordinary. So I want to say I'm proud of you. If you're a teacher, give yourself a pat on the back. If you're a parent, if you're a student, social worker, educator, coach, take a second right now and give yourself a pat on the back, and know that you've blown me away with your work, your hard work, and your great results. And believe me, I know you have your ups and downs. There's still glitches. There will continue to be. But if you had told me on March 16th, which is when we made this decision, that I'd be able to stand here today and say that our participation rates were above 90%, that most children were learning and learning well, that teachers were adapting as well and as quickly as they are, I don't think I would have believed it. So, hats off to every one of you. Now comes for the decision. And I should say it's not a decision that's been an easy one for me. But in light of the fact that we're doing such a good job, we still haven't reached our peak, and we're still seeing increased cases, I've decided we need to continue distance learning K through 12 in our public schools for the remainder of the school year. And to be very honest, I had hoped to wind up in a different place. I had hoped to wind up in a different place. I wanted to be able to say, you know, maybe the last few weeks of school we could go back to school. I wanted to give these kids a chance to end their school year in a traditional setting. The reality is, I can't. The data just doesn't support it. And to take that much risk for a few weeks of traditional school, I know would be irresponsible and the wrong decision for all the people of Rhode Island. So as hard as you've been working, and and many of you, maybe some of you say, oh, I wanted to go back to school, it's just not the right thing. And I've studied this. I have talked, not only have I talked to public health here and in other states and read all the data and in other countries and look, et cetera, I've talked to most superintendents, if not all, consulted with the mayors, many teachers, teacher leaders, parents, parent groups. I've been listening as much as I can, accepting feedback, and the consensus recommendation of all of those discussions is that we have to do distance learning for the rest of the year. I also have been spending a lot of time talking to other governors, either one-on-one or in group calls, and 39 other governors have already called it this year for the rest of the school year. Even in places, you know, like Georgia and Texas, where they're reopening their economy as early as Monday, they've all decided not to reopen schools this year. So the truth is, it's a hard decision. After a lot of thinking and listening, I'm confident it is the right decision, although not an easy one. And here's the important part. It's made. It's the decision that's been made. This is what we're doing. So now we get to work on making the best of it. It's going to be a good decision because we're going to make it together a good decision, because we're going to get to work right now making our plans. And by the way, that includes making plans for the rest of this academic year, so the learning is fresh and interesting and good and engaging, as well as for the summer, and then make certain and make sure we do everything we can so that we can reopen in September. The summer, we're going to spend a lot of effort right now. Now that I've made this decision, it frees up our time and ability to start planning for everything else. My collective message to everybody is let's finish strong. Let's together finish strong. I'm going to do it. As your governor, I'm committed to that. As a mother, I'm committed to that. Let's finish this year strong. Today, I began by going through the details of how great you're doing with distance learning. Let's make it so that in a month and 2 months from now, I can get back up here again and say, Rhode Island stands out in America as the best results for distance learning. Let's hit the cover off the ball and not lose steam, because frankly, it is too important. So to students, that means buckle down and don't slack off. Today, maybe you have some mixed feelings today. Maybe you will be bummed. I know that. A lot of you are bummed. You're not going to see your friends, sports, the whole thing. That's natural. Give yourself some time to feel that way. But wake back up tomorrow and let's get at it. Make a plan. Now you know. Now you have some finality. You know you're not going to go back into your school buildings. So figure out plans you can make with your friends, with your teachers, with the adults in your lives to make the best of the rest of this year. And know that we are committed to making the best of it for you too. The commissioner is going to talk in a few minutes. She's hard at work with her team on coming up with all kinds of new ideas to make it even more innovative. We've heard from a lot of the students that they're learning, but it's getting a little boring. So the commissioner is full of energy and ideas. She's a top-notch educator herself. She's been working with teachers, and they're going to have some special ideas to make it fresh and new and even more engaging for you so that you can finish the year strong. RIDE is also going to be issuing a statewide calendar for the month of May and June. This will allow us to ensure that every teacher has time for lesson planning and professional development. And we are not giving up on this last however many weeks of learning. So we heard from a lot of teachers and principals and superintendents to please set the calendar. So we've heard you, RIDE's setting the calendar, we're giving you time for planning, and we are counting on you to continue your excellent professional work. And to our families, to all the families out there who may be feeling very frustrated with this announcement that I've just made, I'm not saying we'll see you in September. I am definitely not saying that. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be making more announcements around additional child care. I know we have to get back into the business of providing child care. We're going to work overtime to make sure summer programming is as excellent as it can be. Maybe it's not going to be as it's been in the past, but we, again, with this decision behind us, we're going to shift our attention to finishing the year strong and making sure that summer is excellent, innovative, and filled with learning opportunities for your kids. And then, of course, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're ready for September. And it's a complicated thing. A lot of people say, oh, well, kids are doing fine with the COVID virus. They're not the ones getting sick. That is true. That is true. Thank God that is true. But you've got to think about busing children, keeping them secure, feeding the children, all the folks over 60 there, making sure the kids, everything is cleaned appropriately. It's a complex operation to run a school, which is something that we had to take into account. I know there are some parents out there who say now that they need extra support, and some students, so bear with me for just a couple more minutes. I want to make a few announcements. For parents who are having trouble supporting their kids with distance learning, I'm very proud we've heard you. We keep trying to listen to needs and meet needs. I want to announce today that RIDE is going to be working with the Highlander Institute and to expand their distance learning helpline to parents and families. Teachers have been using this resource since March 24th, and now it's available to parents who have questions on how to best support students during their distance learning experience. So if you're a parent and you're hearing me say this, you're struggling a little bit with distance learning, maybe with the technology, you can call this helpline, 904-414-4927, or go online to the highlanderinstitute.org. I also want to take a minute to address the mental health needs that our kids have, and remind everyone, parents and kids themselves, about Kids Link. Kids Link is a 24/7 hotline that parents can call when they feel their kids need more and better access to mental health. Maybe your kids are angry, anxious, acting out, depressed, lashing out at their siblings. The number there is 1-855-543-5465. It's a hotline, it's 24/7, and it's run by Bradley Hospital. They're operating as a kind of a one-stop shop. They will talk to you, help you assess your needs, and then connect you with the right professional who can help you and your kids with your mental health needs. Don't be shy to reach out. There's not a person out there in Rhode Island who's not struggling in some way living with what's going on. So if you're anxious, depressed, sad, and you need help, particularly if it's severe or different, I want you to call Kids Link and get the help you need. And don't forget, executive order I signed, it's got to be covered by insurance, and it's got to be covered by insurance if it's delivered over the telephone, if your care is delivered over the telephone, the same as it would be if it were delivered in an office.